Now I'm going to read the third extract from the children's Viking adventure story, the Saga of Eirik and Olaf. They have left, as I said, Dublin in the first extract to rescue their kidnapped sister, were caught and shipwrecked in the second extract, and now they've been held by these Welsh bandits and taken to a hut, where there's, in the middle of which is a cage, and thrown in. Okay, here we go. It was a moment or two before Olaf and Eirik got used to the gloom and were able to see that there were others in the cage too. After a long silence, one of them asked, "How did they capture you?" The voice was old and kind. "We were shipwrecked," replied Olaf. "I heard the leader say we're to be sold as slaves." "The same fate for all of us," said the voice. "Where are you from?" "Dublin," Eirik said, his voice trembling. "And you?" asked Olaf. "We're monks from the nearby kingdom of Mercia. We were out working in the fields when these Welsh bandits appeared out of nowhere. They'll take us all to Bristol as soon as they've rounded up more captives." "I don't know why they bother taking me," the old monk added with a sigh, "for I'm old and won't fetch much. But my fellow monks, Hugh and Tom here, will." The mention of Bristol worried Olaf. If one-eyed Tor, who had captured their sister, happened to be there, he might discover who they were, buy them, and ship them all off to his stronghold in Norway. "Is there any hope of escaping from here?" Olaf asked. "None at all," replied the old monk. "We've been in this cage for the past week as it is. Even if we did manage to get out, we'd never find our way to the monastery. It's way beyond the mountains." The days were interminable. First thing in the morning, they were given a meal of foul-smelling gruel. Then in the afternoon, they were allowed to walk around the village for a couple of hours. The dogs snarled, and the village hissed and threw stones at them. "I can't stand being a captive," Olaf murmured to the old monk during their afternoon walk. "Maybe I can escape while they're asleep and fetch help." "From where?" "Your monastery. It's too far away. Besides, you'll never find your way to the mountains." "I know the way," whispered the monk Hugh, who was walking beside him. "At least I think I do." "What's the use?" the old monk said. "The sound of the dogs barking will wake them up." Olaf frowned, lost in thought for a moment. "Maybe something will turn up," he said, but didn't believe anything would. Next morning they woke to the sound of wailing. Was the village being attacked? At last the wailing ceased, and Olaf could just make out what was being said outside. Apparently, the bandit leader had died during the night, and arrangements were being made for his burial the following day. But first there would be a wake for him that night. "This could be the chance we're waiting for," the old man told Olaf. "Tonight they'll drink and dance around a big fire until dawn. They're bound to get drunk, and that will give us a chance to get away. You can guide us through the mountains." "Yes," said Hugh hesitantly, "but it's a long way. We could get lost. But wait." He turned towards Olaf. "You're a sailor. You can navigate by the stars, can't you?" "Yes, I can." "Good. The monastery is to the northwest. I guess it'll take us about 3 days to get there." They waited until darkness before Olaf cautiously managed to force the opening of the cage. He stepped out and warily looked around. The hut they were in was empty. Crossing it, they heard the sound of chanting. From the doorway, the sight of villagers moving in a slow dance around a huge fire sent a chill down their spines. "Keep in the shadows," cautioned the old monk as they emerged from the hut. Slowly they crept through the village as the chanting reached a higher, savage-sounding pitch, all of them knowing that no mercy could be expected should they be captured again. On and on they went, careful not to be seen until halfway through the village. A bandit emerged from behind a hut and seeing them barred their way. "How did you get out?" he demanded drunkenly, trying to grab Olaf by the hair. "We were told we could walk around the village," Olaf said, ducking out of reach. Sorry. "You're lying. Back to the cage before I cut you in two." "We're not lying," Eirik piped in, for he had seen Hugh creeping up behind the bandit. Eirik held his breath. Hugh had found a plank of wood and, raising it high in the air, he hit the bandit on the head, knocking him unconscious. At that moment a dog barked. Finding a bone in the ground, Eirik threw it to the dog. Seeing that there was no one else near, they scrambled across the ditch that surrounded the village and ran into the forest beyond. I think I'll stop there and makes a little bit of tension, wondering what could happen next. Goodbye.